Hi, everyone. I'm Anthony Parasini, hosting here for the Hybrid Fitness Summit today. I'm going to be talking about those of you that are in CrossFit and want to participate in hybrid fitness or a hybrid fitness event such as HYROX. What kind of training adaptations do you need? How can you adjust your training and excel at the event? My background and my wife's background is we came from CrossFit and have done pretty well in the HYROX and hybrid fitness space. I myself am a CrossFit Level 3 instructor or a certified CrossFit instructor. I'm also a USA weightlifting sports performance coach and a HYROX coach. My wife is a CrossFit Level 2 coach. She's a 3-time HYROX world champion. She currently holds the world record in both DecaFit and HYROX for the women's pro. And she was a collegiate swimmer at SUNY Oneonta. I myself was an NCAA Division I wrestler at Oregon State University. And I'll talk a little bit about how our backgrounds shaped our training style as well. A little bit of an overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to go over the key differences between CrossFit and HYROX, the specific demands of HYROX, and how to address your training to succeed in HYROX. We talked mostly about HYROX in this seminar today. However, you can apply this to any hybrid fitness event or hybrid fitness training in general. So for an overview of CrossFit and HYROX. CrossFit is a high-intensity fitness program incorporating elements of various sports and types of exercise. It emphasizes functional movements, varied workouts, and competitive environments. Increase work capacity across broad time and modal domains through constantly varied, if not random, functional movements performed at high intensity. If you're commonly in a CrossFit class, you're performing for your health. You are generally taking a 1-hour class that will involve a WOD, a workout of the day, which is mostly mixed modalities performed at high intensity, ranging anywhere from 2 to about 20 minutes long. In addition, most classes will also have a warm-up and a technique or skill session or a strength session. So you get your 1-hour workout in. And that will propel you to a healthy lifestyle. Now we're going to define what HYROX is. So for HYROX is a fitness race, combining running with functional workout stations. The competition format includes 8 by 1 kilometer runs, each followed by a specific functional workout station. The workout stations are low skill to make it accessible and not hinder any ability to reach high intensity through a lack of practice or skill or ability. What that means is that HYROX or any hybrid event will usually involve some sort of running into a functional workout or functional station. Okay, so the lower skill movements in HYROX or any hybrid event generally will lead you to be able to perform at a much higher work capacity because you're performing in terms of power output more work in a set amount of time. Okay, so when we define power output, it's usually force times distance over time. And you can either travel longer with the same amount of weight, you can add more weight and travel just as far in a shorter amount of time, or any combination of that to increase your power output. So the idea of hybrid fitness and HYROX is to increase your average power output over a set duration. Now that we've defined what CrossFit is and what hybrid fitness or HYROX are, we're going to go over what the key differences between their training styles and the events and what they are. So our key differences are CrossFit focuses on a variety and constant changes, whereas HYROX has a standardized race format that emphasizes endurance and specific functional movements. So with CrossFit, you're trying to adapt to anything that may come at you at any time, anywhere. That's why they call it the unknown and unknowable. In HYROX or most hybrid fitness events, you're going to know what the event is before you step foot on the floor to participate. So for example, in a HYROX, you know that there's going to be 8 kilometers of running, there's going to be a rock zone, and there's going to be 8 different stations that remain the same in the same order every single time. In CrossFit, they're going to throw at you, you might know this workout, you might have to do a max lift, and here's a mystery workout that you won't know until 5 minutes before we release it. And it's just because you're trying to see your ability to produce fitness without knowing the event. So there's not really a lot of time to strategize all the time. And the final part of this slide is, additionally, CrossFit is a fitness methodology to promote health separate from their competition, which is the CrossFit Games. Whereas HYROX is a racing event that is the same each time, that promotes health to the populace by encouraging training through setting completion or time goals. Now that you know what the difference is between CrossFit and HYROX, we're going to try to set up how do you train differently between them, because there is some very key differences in the training focus. That's going to start with CrossFit. CrossFit emphasizes strength, power, and short bursts of high intensity work. What that means is that CrossFit is much more about your immediate power output and how long you can sustain it for, but within those fixed modalities and those fixed time domains. The occasional CrossFit workout will go past 20 minutes, but when it's confined to a health parameter within that 1 hour class, it very rarely goes over that 20-minute mark. Next up, we're going to talk about HYROX. HYROX requires a balance of endurance and functional strength with a strong emphasis on steady state cardio and the ability to perform repetitive functional movements under fatigue. What that means is that HYROX and any hybrid event is generally much more aerobic. You're not going to get these big anaerobic spikes. You want to figure out where is your limit or your threshold to be able to consistently work over longer durations. Many hybrid events could be 20, 30, 50 minutes long. In terms of HYROX, the fastest people in the world complete it in 53 to 58 minutes. Whereas some people get into the 1.5 to 2 hour range or more, especially if they're unprepared for the demands of the event. So the training shift. If I'm a CrossFitter, how do I get to participating in my first HYROX without completely falling apart? The training shift from varied high-intensity workouts to more consistent endurance-based training with specific focus on the HYROX workout stations. However, you do not completely remove the varied high-intensity work from your program. CrossFitters should add cardiovascular endurance and stamina training. But HYROX athletes can benefit from adding CrossFit training into their own program as well. So as much as CrossFitters who are very strength biased, which we'll get into in this next slide, would benefit from the aerobic base, whether on machines or running or biking, whatever it is, they should develop a much broader aerobic base to meet the demands of the event. If you do perform them on the machines and stuff, you're missing the load of impact, but it's better than not performing them at all. Whereas somebody who's coming from the other direction, maybe a runner or a biker, or a cyclist, they can meet the demands of the event by adding CrossFit into their program a little bit more. In this next slide, you're going to see somebody who does CrossFit. What do they need to change to improve at HYROX or hybrid fitness? Remember, I defined it as HYROX, but it's going to encompass most all of hybrid fitness. And the way they do that is through this chart. As you can see, using CrossFit's definition of fitness, they define 10 attributes or traits to well-rounded fitness. Those 10 traits are cardiovascular and respiratory endurance, stamina, strength, flexibility, power, speed, coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. The aim of CrossFit is to test all of those parameters throughout the season if they're looking at the CrossFit Games, or throughout a year if you look at a broad spectrum program from your local CrossFit box. CrossFit defined the 10 traits of fitness based on those. Here's how being fit differs between HYROX and CrossFit, or between hybrid fitness and CrossFit. As you can see from the chart, to transition from CrossFit, it is likely that your strength, flexibility, power, coordination, agility, and balance are at sufficient levels to complete a HYROX. So you don't have to change anything there, and you could actually sacrifice some of the time that you're using to train those categories to focus more on the things that matter in a HYROX race. Because you have excess there, you need to transition that into the places you are lacking. Those places, you will likely need significant improvement in your cardiovascular respiratory endurance, stamina, and speed. Whereas other things like your coordination and agility should remain the same, you will also need likely a slight increase in your accuracy, just because HYROX at the final station requires a very small target to be hit and is usually more precise than anything in a CrossFit event, where generally the wall balls, they just have to throw above a line or you have to get within a certain area. It's not necessarily as tight of a spread as HYROX is now requiring. So let's say you've been consistently going to your CrossFit gym. What level should you start at? HYROX has a lot of options for you to choose from. You can do open, you can do pro, you can do doubles, mixed, men, women, relay. There's a lot of options to choose from the same race. So if you're wondering where should you start at, and this can apply to other hybrid fitness events, mainly DecaFit or HYROX, this is what you should look at first. If you have been a regular CrossFit class participant for a few years and you can RX most, if not all, of the workouts in your CrossFit box, you can probably sign up for the pro division. With a good aerobic base, all the divisions, with the exception of relay, are going to have the same amount of running. So you're still going to have to develop that. But you most likely, if you've been at that level at CrossFit, you can sign up for the pro division and be able to push the weights and meet the requirements of that division. If you've been doing CrossFit classes semi-regularly and you occasionally RX the workouts, but not all the time, you might want to consider signing up for the open division. The open division has a little bit lighter weights, and for the women in the open division, you'll end up doing 75 wall balls instead of 100 at the end. It's just a slightly scaled down. It's a great way to break into doing your first HYROX with the eventual aspirations of completing a HYROX Pro. If you're a CrossFit class participant and you have a friend and you both want to do it together, but you're afraid to do the whole race solo, or you're not confident in doing it by yourself, I would recommend you signing up for a doubles race in that case. Or if you have a lot of friends, you could sign up for a relay as a way to dip your toes in and get used to the environment of HYROX. You could also do this in DecaFit or other hybrid fitness events that have the teams option. All right, so I've been working out a whole bunch, doing functional fitness or CrossFit or anything, but I don't have the aerobic base. How do I get ready to participate in my first hybrid fitness event, or my first HYROX, or my first DecaFit? If you're signing up for your first HYROX, after years of doing regular CrossFit classes and with a goal finish time of under 90 minutes, then start by adding about 10 to 20 minutes of aerobic base 4 to 5 times per week. This can be done through 10 to 20 minutes on the ski erg or the row erg for 2 to 3 times per week, and 1 to 3 times per week of running, depending on your starting level. Eventually, turn 1 to 2 of those easy machine workouts you just did into a running one, and so that you up your running to 4 to 5 times per week. Then slowly start to increase the amount of time per session per week. If you increase by about 2 to 3 minutes, then finally you'll be accumulating about 20 miles per week in your easy runs. Everything to this point should be an easy run. Once you've done that, once you can reach that point, you can change one workout from the week into a simple quality workout. A quality run preferably, but you can start with or begin on the machines with it and then progress to the runs. Or if you end up changing two of them, one on the machines, one on the run, on a run. That workout, just to begin with, the most basic one, should be about a 10-minute easy warm-up jog. And then once you're done with those 10 minutes, you'll do 5 sets of 5-minute intervals at threshold pace on the run, your ski erg, or your row erg. And you will rest 1 minute in between each of those intervals. When you're done with that, you'll have a 10-minute easy cool down jog. There's another seminar in this hybrid fitness summit that talks about threshold and threshold paces. I suggest you listen to that by James Kelly. Otherwise, your threshold pace, remember, is not an all-out sprint. In the simplest terms, your threshold pace for running is the pace that you can hold for a 1-hour race, a 1-hour duration. On the machines, it's a little bit faster. It's going to be about equal to your 10K pace. So your 10K pace on the machines would be about equal to your threshold pace. So I just want to spend a little bit of time going over what this would look like as a short condensed program. So this is an example week of what we just talked about. Okay. So as you can see, for example, Monday, you would do your CrossFit class and then have a 10-minute easy row or ski afterwards. Very simple. On Tuesday, you go for a 10-minute run prior to having a CrossFit class or after the CrossFit class if that's what you prefer. On Wednesday, you don't run, you go to your CrossFit class and you copy it just like Monday where you just get on the machines either 10 minutes before or after your class. On Thursday, I would go completely off, especially if you're just beginning, or an active recovery. Active recovery can be anything from 20 to 40 minutes, swimming, hiking, biking, something very low impact and just movement. On Friday, you'll have your full big day of a 10-minute easy run, your CrossFit class, and 10 minutes on the bike or 10 minutes on the rower or ski erg. Then you come to Saturday. It's very much like Monday, Wednesday, where you just have your CrossFit class and a 10-minute easy machine work. On Sunday, this would be your long run day. Just to start with, that long run should be capped at about 15 minutes. Now, this is for the absolute beginner, somebody who hasn't been running or is getting 0 to 5 miles per week of running, but is doing CrossFit classes or boot camp classes or functional fitness classes. If you want to up those numbers a little bit because you can start a little bit above that, go ahead, or you can still start here and just progress a little quicker until you feel that point where adding 2, 3, 5 minutes to these becomes too much and you want to back off. Now, continuing that example week, one of the things we want to do is this was what you would build into. So from those 10-minute sessions, adding 2 to 3 minutes every other week or per week, or waiting until you get to 4 or 5 run sessions in a week and then adding those minutes, you eventually can build up. This could be over months. So you could be 12 weeks out. You could be 16 weeks out, 3, 4 months. Or if you don't have a target date, you could be 6 months out or have a goal of next year. But this is the eventual template that you'd want to get to. Now, this is still what would be considered a beginner template, running about 20 to 25 miles in a week. In this, you could also up it and add additional quality day on a machine instead of just the one on the run that I have listed in the example here. So, as you can see, on this one, Monday is only your CrossFit class. Tuesday is your quality run day. That's the time that we do the 10-minute easy warm-up, 5 sets of 5 threshold runs with a 1-minute rest and then 10-minute easy cool down. And then additionally, either later in the day before your thresholds or at some other point, maybe as a cool down after your run cool down, you do 15 minutes of easy work on the machines. On Wednesday, you have a longer duration, 30-minute run. You have your CrossFit class and your easy machine stuff. Again, we're following that 3 on, 1 off, or 1 active recovery, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 active recovery, however you want to organize it for yourself. But as you can see here, you eventually build up until you're running 45 minutes as your long run. This, I would say, is about the bare minimum for you to be very comfortable finishing a hybrid fitness event, whether it's HYROX, DecaFit, AFX, any other event that comes up. So we've addressed your aerobic work. And now you want to know, well, what about the stations? We've only addressed half the races so far. That's right. So your CrossFit classes or your functional fitness classes should be able to address much of the movement patterns that you would see in any of these HYROX, DecaFit events. But you should still have race-specific inclusions because there are things like sleds that you might not get regularly in a CrossFit class. I recommend that you follow the aerobic pattern. You want to build that aerobic base, which takes time. There's no substitute for that besides time. You want to have your race-specific inclusions in this, though. So you'll want to touch on the implements, including the sleds, the sandbags, the specific ropes, whatever it is in the event you choose. You want to touch on those implements and the combination of running into and out of the specific stations. This can be done, but much closer to your event. I would say at most 6 weeks out is where you need the specific stuff in. And if you're accustomed and used to this, or you've done multiple hybrid fitness events, it could even be as little as 4 weeks out before you actually start to nail down those things. You also want to start mixing the aerobic pieces, like your running, your rowing, and skiing, with the more anaerobic stations. That would include the sled push, the burpees, the wall balls, the lunges, which are usually in a lot of these hybrid fitness events. So you want to start mixing those together and in combination. So not just like 5 rounds of running into burpees, but maybe some running into a station, into a row, into a station, and then some kind of big buyout. You want to mix things up. Okay, so you get the pattern of moving into and out of your aerobic and anaerobic paces. And this is a reminder, an ethos of CrossFit is that our needs differ by degree, not kind. So whether you're trying to shoot for a 2-hour HYROX or just completion, or whether you're trying to PR and make the Elite 15, the needs of an Olympian and our grandmother differ by how much in degree. They do not differ by the type of movement we need. So for health purposes, we all need to have the basic combination of movements. That includes deadlifting. You need to know how to hinge. You need to know how to squat, push, pull. You should have basic proprioception in your body as well. People who want to complete the race versus those who are striving to be in the top 0.1%, you have the same needs. You have the same issues you need to address to complete the race. It is only to the degree and the amount of time to which those movements and that specific need is applied. In conclusion, transitioning from CrossFit to HYROX requires adjustments in training focus, incorporating more endurance and specific functional movements. That would include your station-specific work, but the biggest thing is going to be your aerobic base. With dedication and proper training and coaching, CrossFit athletes could absolutely excel in a HYROX competition. We've seen it multiple times through just the elite field alone, where HYROX athletes can produce CrossFit athletes can produce a great HYROX athlete or hybrid fitness athlete. My wife is included in that. We were originally CrossFit. And we still do consider ourselves CrossFitters. Additionally, in that, anybody training for hybrid fitness, you are missing a big portion of general fitness, of just general health as well, if you are not incorporating some of the higher skills of CrossFit. and some of the higher methodologies and ethos of it. Thank you for your attention, and we'll get on to the next slide. So as I said at the beginning, I'm Anthony Parasini with the Hybrid Engine. We are an official HYROX partner gym. You can find us on Instagram at the Hybrid Engine, or our website, which is just thehybridengine.com, or on YouTube at the Hybrid Engine. I'm one of 2 head coaches, my wife, Lauren Weeks, being the other one. Lauren is a 3-time HYROX world champion in 2020, 2021, and 2023. She's the current HYROX and DecaFit female pro or elite world record holder. She was a 4-time CrossFit regional and semi-final competitor, twice as an individual, twice on a team. And she's a CrossFit level 2 coach. She helped me write this seminar as well as the slides. And she's a former collegiate swimmer at SUNY Oneonta. Myself, I can be found at a Wild Parasini on Instagram. I'm a certified CrossFit trainer, CCFT level 3 coach. I'm a USA weightlifting sports performance coach, a registered professional engineer in 12 US states, or I'm licensed in 12 of them. I'm a former NCAA Division I wrestler at Oregon State University. I'm a hybrid athlete. I did my own hybrid fitness challenge where I ran a sub 3-hour marathon and bench press 315 in the same day. I have a PR HYROX of 66.45, which one day I hope to get lower than my wife's if I can train hard enough. And in 2024, I coached several of the Elite 15 athletes that included 2 podium finishers, my wife and James Kelly, who took 3rd on the men's side. I also coached Kate Davey and Lauren Griffith, who took 6th and 13th respectively at the World Championships. Our business and our brand is growing. If you'd like to be a part of it, look us up, find us, and we would be happy to talk to you and reach out. Thank you. Have a great day.